This is the video I was thinking to make for a very long time, but it kind of takes a lot of analyzing to come to these conclusions. Anyways, today I'm gonna be comparing Assassin's Creed Unity with Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, there's gonna be certain parameters that I'm gonna be focusing on and will also provide my opinions on it. What I like in the game and what I don't. Also, what could have been better. So, sit tight, lay back, but make sure to like this video and feel free to subscribe if you like this type of content. On number 1, we have the world design. In Unity, we mainly have French Revolutionary Paris, and in Syndicate, we have Victorian London. Unity has more density in terms of the population, and everything is more chaotic. We also see a lot more interiors and hidden places in this game, like tunnels, and there's like a lot of basements you can go to, so there's a lot of stuff like that. Also, everything in the game kind of looks tight and congested, and obviously at that time there was not any sort of proper planning in terms of infrastructure. They have these old sort of roads which are very narrow and they are not like full concrete type of roads, right? So those were the traditional type of roads, right? And because of the narrowness and the tightness, it was very easy to navigate and maneuver through the rooftops, which I liked a lot. You didn't really need to get on the ground. The overall aesthetic of the game was also very colorful, especially the interiors inside palaces. Syndicate was a lot more organized in terms of the map. The time period of the game reflects it. Obviously, in the 19th century, because of Industrial Revolution, the places started getting more organized and well planned. Not a lot of density, I would say, in terms of population, but still was pretty good in certain areas. The areas were divided in several districts, and we had to conquer those. The aesthetic of this game was again unique and never to be seen again because of the time period itself. Now, what I personally think is that the world does not necessarily accommodate parkour that good because of the proximity of the buildings. Unity on one hand facilitated parkour a lot, and in Syndicate it was sort of tough sometimes. Now, speaking of parkour, let's move on to the next part, that is obviously parkour. As I mentioned before, the world in Unity is very much designed for doing parkour and performing crazy plays. That's why you see on YouTube there's so many random clips of Unity's parkour, and you don't see the same with Syndicate, right? It is quite hard to achieve the same in Syndicate because of the lack of tightness in buildings. For example, you can't use back ejects that often when the buildings are so far away from each other. Though we got a grappling hook in this game, it still does not feel the same. Like, it breaks the flow in my opinion. Now, obviously, it totally depends on the time period as well. Some time periods suit a specific thing, meanwhile another one will do something different. For example, games like Assassin's Creed Origins have map that suits the whole RPG theme. In a similar way, some maps suit the parkour, some suit the aesthetic, some suit the social stealth like we saw in Mirage. So obviously it's gonna be different every time and we cannot expect it to be the same at every single place. Now, mostly the movement itself in the parkour is not that different in both of these games. Most of the advantages you see are due to the world design and not the movement themselves. Still, the parkour in both of these games are among the best in the whole Assassin's Creed series. Now, the next point is stealth. Again, stealth in both of these games are top notch and also very identical. Both have good tools for facilitating stealth properly. Only some of the tools are different. Both of these games again have black box missions. To me though, the black box missions in Syndicate felt better because there were 3 options. One was unique kill opportunity, one was infiltration opportunity, and one was assistance opportunity. So I think that it gives more options and it was more organized in that sense. Now obviously something similar was there in Unity as well, but Syndicate structure felt much better to me personally. But the next thing that totally makes a big difference is the social stealth, and obviously Unity takes it by a long shot, and it's not even close. Because of the massive density of population in Unity, it creates this automatically. I remember there was a mission in which we had to kill this Joker looking Templar guy. I don't recall his name, sorry. But that mission showed its importance in that. Plus there was another mission in which we had to infiltrate a palace in the beginning. Now that I remember, there's even more missions like that. But in Syndicate there were barely any scenarios in which we saw massive crowds for social stealth. Next up we have combat. Now again, nothing against Unity, but I just don't like those type of sword fights. I prefer the Syndicate type of combat more. I know it can be a pretty hot take though. It was more swift and brutal looking in my opinion. The pacing is very good and it is very satisfying to press the buttons so fast, like countering and then spamming your keys and finishing the guy with a bullet. Felt amazing to be honest. Unity's combat had a more classy touch to it. Also, I like the weapons in Syndicate a lot as well. Very unique weapons in my opinion. But Unity's weapon selection was also pretty great to be honest. I'm the type of guy who used to play a lot of competitive online games. So it is just in my instincts to like fast-paced combat in which we don't have to stop pressing the buttons. Man, I don't like the slow type of combat to be honest. Syndicate's combat felt more fluid to me compared to Unity's combat. Unity's combat was kind of sluggish to me, but to each their own. Next we have the story of the game. It's very hard to decide which one is better in this to be honest, because both of these games kind of fall in the same boat. Stories in both of these games felt kind of mid to be honest. In terms of cinematography, they both do a pretty good job though. But in terms of the overall story, I would put Syndicate slightly above Unity. Unity could have utilized its French Revolution theme a little bit more. The whole game I felt like that the main motive of Arno was to chase Elise rather than the Templars. Sure, Elise can be part of the game, but the whole spotlight is given to her and not the theme of the game. Like, if you saw the trailer of Assassin's Creed Unity, you would think we are gonna be some proletariat about to siege some bourgeoisie, but we saw nothing of that to be honest. It just felt like Ubisoft played it safer because the story would have become a little more ideologically and politically driven. Rather, they focused on the love story, and the main motive of Arno in the game was not actually side with assassins for their cause, but to find out who killed De La Serre in the beginning. And obviously De La Serre was the father of Elise, so that's also a reason. I just feel like there could have been so many possibilities in the story due to its revolutionary theme. Now about Syndicate, again nothing special story wise, but the way the story is organized is pretty good. There was a mission I remember in the game in which we had to go to this basement area in which we found out more about Edward Kenway, and that was pretty fascinating to me to be honest, but the story could have been better in general. Again, the game could have been better and more darker because of the whole Victorian theme. You have Industrial Revolution in it. It creates so much more opportunity in terms of stories. Both of these games ultimately didn't perform that good in story, and it could have been much better because both of these games had revolution as a very big part of it. So I feel like it could have done better in this sector, but they did not. Next thing is stability. I created this specific parameter because this thing is not discussed a lot of times. Syndicate does not go through that many stability issues. As I mentioned before, though there is good density of population in Unity, there's so many more bugs and glitches you will see in the crowds. There's a lot of artifacts as well in the game. There's also rendering problems that I faced on my setups, and you might be saying, well, it hasn't happened with you, but I have tried playing this game on numerous devices, but the render distance stuff has been pretty bad in most of the devices I have played on. Just about like 100 meters further, things will start getting blurry, and I just don't know why it happens, and it has been there in Unity since the launch of the game. Also, the imagery in general of the whole game kind of looks blurry a lot of times. These issues I don't see quite often in Syndicate to be honest. Assassin's Creed Syndicate looks like a much more stable version of Unity. Though the parkour is better in Unity, it sometimes creates some weird glitches. Now obviously chaos creates these problems, and Syndicate does not go through these problems because they made the game a lot less chaotic compared to Unity. Unity is very dense in terms of population, buildings and other objects. Obviously, because of this, it creates a lot of actions based on close call decisions. The nature of Syndicate automatically eradicates all these problems. Now, let's move on to the conclusion. So, which game is the winner? To me, it totally depends on my mood honestly. I just don't think any of these two games are very, I would say, replayable in terms of the story. But if I want to play for fun, Unity is the go-to game. I am probably never gonna play the story mode again in that game, to be honest though. For Syndicate, I will play it if I wanna experience some gang wars and combat and conquering territories. It just feels good in that game in this regards, but again, nothing special in its story as well. And that's it for this video. Feel free to comment down any thoughts if you guys have on this video and the points I have given, and what do you guys think wins in your opinion, and also tell the reason why you think about that. But anyways, make sure to like this video and consider subscribing to this channel if you like this kind of content. There's a lot more I'm gonna be producing soon. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.